Hello, welcome to episode 2.
Here's our blanket, excellent.
An asymmetrical twist. Dropping and sinking.
Notice how
So just notice. Joining us for the second episode of next week. Namaste. Hello and welcome to episode 33 of Namaste Yoga. We're filming from my house today, and I'm back from Vermont from Phoenix Rising Yoga Therapy. And look what the cat dragged in. She can't get enough of Namaste Yoga. So Ninka's back with us. Thank you, Ninka, for doing last week's show. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure all of you enjoyed that out there as well. And today we're starting a series of yoga classes around the Yamas and the Niyamas from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. The Yamas and the Niyamas are considered the ethical codes to live by. They're often equated to the Ten Commandments in the Christian Bible. And I don't know about you, but when I heard the word ethics, on the one hand, I get I want to yawn. It just sounds so boring. But then on the other hand, I think, if we have to talk about ethics, that's because there's something really juicy going on. So I actually get really interested too. So anyway, we're going to start with Ahimsa. And I just wanted to show you one of my absolute favorite new things right now. As many of you know, I have a yoga show that you're watching, but I also have a radio show. And on May the 26th, I'm going to be interviewing Nikolai Bachman about this fantastic new product that he's put out. It's called the Yoga Sutras, and it's not a book, although there's a book in it. So there's cards in here, and we're going to be working with the first yama, Ahimsa, this week. And you'll see there's little quotes on the back of, kind of like flashcards that tell you about them. And then there's the whole book on this. Nikolai Bachman's a Sanskrit scholar. And this is what I listened to on my way to Vermont. There's this whole set of CDs too. And on one of the CDs in particular, he actually chants the entire Yoga Sutras. So I just think this is a fantastic translation. The other thing that I love about this translation is it's non-linear. It doesn't start at the beginning and translate right to the end. Instead, he pulls concepts out and works with various concepts from the Yoga Sutras. So I just think that's fantastic. And you can get it at Sounds True. And I was saying, I believe, it comes with a pretty big price tag, but it's well worth it. And I believe the price was $108, which Ninka was saying was a really auspicious number, of course. So. And I don't know why that never really occurred to me before. But anyway, I love it. It's my favorite now alongside The Secret Power of Yoga. I love that translation too. This is another favorite now, translation of the Yoga Sutras. So you can actually go ahead and rest back. We're going to start with some guided reflection and setting some intention before the practice today. So just give yourself a chance to settle in and begin to follow your breath and feel your body resting against the ground so that you start to tune in to what it's like to be present in this moment, letting go of the to-do list and what's going to come after and what happened before. So we're starting our series of classes with the Yamas and the Niyamas. And the Yamas are ethical guidelines that we use to get along with other people. And I think oftentimes, especially here in the West, we measure our yoga by how well we can do our asanas on the mat. But really, the rubber hits the road when we go out into relationship in the world. And I just love the Ram Dass quote when he says, if you think you're enlightened, then go spend a week with your family. Because it really is in relationship that you discover how far you've come with your spiritual practice. So we're going to start to work with the social observances, the yamas, and we're starting with Ahimsa. And Ahimsa gets translated as nonviolence. And what I love about Ahimsa is that's really easy to remember. Is that it's the most important yama. It's the yama that trumps all other yamas. So if you have a question as to whether you should be dealing with a situation using nonviolence, or if not stealing is more important, or if truthfulness is more important, or non-hoarding is more important, you know what? Ahimsa trumps them all every time. And all the other yamas and niyamas are supposed to be practiced alongside Ahimsa. So I'm going to explain to you the kind of 3 ways that we can cultivate Ahimsa in our lives. And I want you to just notice how it lands in your body, where you feel it in your body, and what resonates with you the most, or maybe what makes your ears stand up a little bit and think, oh, that's maybe something I'm working on in my life right now. So the first way we can cultivate Ahimsa is through our physical body, and particularly on the yoga mat. That's a great way to practice it. So in terms of honoring our body, going into the poses in a way that is right for us, and doing our yoga, our physical yoga, in a way that is non-injurious. As you move out into the world, that translates into your actions in the world. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is through your words. So is the way that you're communicating with other people nonviolent? Is it compassionate and kind? And then the third way, and this is another really great aspect of Ahimsa to cultivate within your yoga practice, is nonviolence in your mind and your thoughts. So that means the sort of ongoing inner dialogue that's kind of judgmental and critical, that just doesn't let up with its harshness. You know, we can start to cultivate that and clean that up a little bit. So just notice for you right now which one resonates for you the most, in terms of what would be best to work with on the mat here, because we're going to reset our intention at the end of the class as well. So would it be best for you to put your intention and focus around cultivating Ahimsa towards your physical body, or for you would it be better to set an intention around cultivating Ahimsa in your mind? So once you've set an intention, we're going to move right into a breath called square breath. And square breath is a breath that involves breath retention. And the reason why I've chosen this breath is that I think that the practice can become somewhat aggressive and somewhat grippy. So both kind of forms where subtly violence can start to show up even in our breath practice. So I think it's a great breath to work with it. So the breath works by having equal parts inhalation, holding, exhalation, and holding. And the aggressiveness can come in the wanting to fill up with air, the wanting to really release the air really quickly. And then I find it comes in the middle too, in the holding, which can be kind of grippy and tense. So keeping that in mind, see if you can come at the square breath today in a way that is soft and kind and compassionate without any aggression or grippiness. So I'm going to have you start by taking a normal breath in and a normal breath out. And then breathe in, pause, breathe out, pause, 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 breathe in, pause, Breathe out. Pause. Breathe in. Pause. 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 Breathe out. And pause. And then return to breathing normally. And just recalling your intention around Ahimsa, bringing it to mind again as we begin to move. We're going to start with a nice shoulder releasing series. So you can actually stay in Savasana just for a moment, because as you stay here, I want you to just check in so that you have sort of a starting point. So check in with your the back of your pelvis and your low back, your lumbar spine. Particularly just noting the space between the ground and the low back. And then come up to the rib cage and notice how that's settling into the ground. And up to the shoulders, notice where they are in relationship to the ground, and also the space at the back of the neck. Notice the curve back there. And we'll use that as our reference point to come back to and check in on. So let's start with the knees bent and the feet flat on the floor, and we'll breathe in the center, and breathe out and roll the head to the right, and breathe in center, and breathe out and roll the head to the left. Breathe in center. Breathe out and roll the head to the right. And breathe in center. Breathe out and roll the head to the left. And we'll just continue that. Moving the head with breath. And then breathing in back center. And from here, I'm going to get you to hold on to your elbows so you create a square just above the shoulders. And when you do this, just let the shoulders drop and sink heavy into the ground. And we'll move the head and the elbows in the same direction. So breathing in the center, breathing out, rolling the head to the right, elbows lower to the right. And then breathing in back center. And breathing out, lowering the elbows to the left, head rolls to the left. And then the next time you breathe in center, keep the head in the center. Breathe out, elbows go to the right. And breathe in center. Breathe out, elbows go to the left. And then breathe that back in center. And what we'll do now is head and elbows the opposite direction. So elbows to the right, head to the left. Breathe in center. Breathe out, elbows to the left, head to the right. And then breathe in center again. And this time we're going to sway the knees the opposite direction of the head and the elbows. So the head and elbows will go to the right, the knees will sway to the left. And then we'll breathe in center and breathe out and sway the other way. And then we'll switch it one last time. So the elbows and the knees continue to go in the opposite direction. And the head's going to follow the knees. So if the elbows go to the right, the head and knees go to the left. And then you bring everything center. Elbows go to the left, head and knees go to the right. And breathe in back center. And we'll take our arms and legs long again down by the side of our body. And I want you to just check in with that back of the pelvis, the space in the lumbar spine and the low back, the shoulders, and the space in the back of the neck. And hopefully you feel as much difference as I do. Okay, so from here what we're going to do is roll over onto your stomachs. Okay, so we're going to do half locust pose with the intention of opening up the front of the hip. That's the idea behind it. And the reason why I chose this in a class on Ahimsa is because how many times do you see this in class too, where people just like yank their legs up really high and compress their lumbar spine? That's what happens. So we're going to practice being really mindful to keep our low backs long and to create the sensation of opening the front of the hip more so than the intention being getting real lift on the leg. So you can pelvic tilt, keep the front of the pelvis dropping into the ground. Even think about reaching those sit bones down to behind the knees and hollowing out the belly a bit to support the low back. And you can breathe in here. We'll breathe out and we'll lengthen long through the left leg just until it reaches off the ground. And then you can slowly lower that down and we'll just wiggle the hips from side to side a little bit just to release any tension in the low back. And then reconnecting the front of the pelvis to the ground, drawing up the root lock, drawing the navel back to the spine, breathing in, breathing out, lengthening long through the right leg until it reaches off the ground. Okay, so now here's a point is if your intention around Ahimsa was to be kind with your thoughts, this is one of the places where violent, it's a subtle version, but more violent thoughts can creep up. When you start compare one side to the other and judge one side as better than the other. So see if you can have awareness without there being judgment and value. And then slowly lower that down. We're going to stay on our bellies and I'm going to get you to bend the left leg in. You're going to reach around and hold on to the left ankle if you can reach, foot if not, and then we're just going to stay here and draw the foot all the way into the buttocks if you can. So again, this is a great place to practice Ahimsa because if you try to bring the foot beyond where it's capable, you're going to hurt your knee, you're going to injure your knee. Poor Ninka, I fed her chamomile tea before the podcast and she's practicing. She can't stop yawning. Yeah, you'll wake up in this class, yep. She's still yawning. Okay, and release. And we'll draw the other leg in, so just drawing the right leg in. And we're focusing here on stretching out the front of the thigh. Okay, and then you can release that one. So now we're going to come into a half bow. So you can take your arms out long in front of you, or you can do the bent arm version. Either's fine. You're going to reach around and hold on to that right ankle if you can reach, foot if not, and you can get a strap if you need to. You're going to roll that left shoulder back and up. Breathe in. Breathe out, and you're going to pull the left leg back, and the action of that left leg coming back will lift the upper body. And then you're going to slowly lower down. And you're going to push yourself up and back into child's pose. Draw those knees up underneath your body. And sink back into your heels. Oh, that feels good. So in a few weeks, we'll be doing the Yama Brahmacharya, and I think, pose, counter pose is a great way to create balance and to conserve energy. So at one point you extend energy, and then the other point you come back to restore it. And to me, this has been a great way to cultivate Ahimsa, is actually by thinking about Brahmacharya. Okay, so let's come back down on the belly to do the other side. And you can bend that right leg in. Reach around and hold on to that right ankle, rolling the right shoulder back and up. Pelvic tilting, breathing in. Breathing out, heel draws away, lifting the upper body up. Okay, and then we'll slowly lower down and push up and backward. Instead of doing child's pose, I would like to do Malasana squat. So coming onto the toes, reaching the heels back towards the ground. Yeah. Another way to open up the low back after a back bend. And the other thing that we can do here is come into a twist in this pose. So you can walk your hands to the left and take the right arm to the outside of the left leg. And then also twist to the other side. And then coming back center, we're just gonna come into some lunging here. So you're probably good on that mat. It's nice and padded, but yeah, a pillow would be great. Thank you. You can see the pillows from my couch. All right, so we're gonna walk the left leg through first for lunge pose. And we'll start with hands on either side of the feet. Oh, this is funny that I asked for a pillow, because guess what we're going to do next? We're going to lift the back leg. But tuck the right toe under at the back and extend through the right heel so that the back leg is extended. And then you can lower down and sink through the front left foot coming upright. Great. And we're going to do a twist here, and you have two choices. One is, and I've been playing with this one a lot, just the hand to the outside, Or you can do palms and bring the elbow to the outside. You want to do this one too? You do that one. I've got a bruise on my back. Yeah, so this one, it depends on your intention. So this one gets into the lower spine. This one gets up the spine a little more. So it just depends on what you need in your body right now. Okay, and then come back center. And let's just switch legs. So we'll bring the left leg back. Yeah, you can do it from down dog if you want, or you can just do it from your knees and walk the right leg through. So we'll start with that low lunge with the hands on either side of the foot, and then curling the back toes under and extending through that back leg. Yeah, and you can do the super duper upright one. I call this one Superwoman because wow. Okay, so I don't love that one. So you can lower down and we'll do the twist. You can do elbows or hand to the outside of the knee. Great, and then come back to center, and we're going to step into downward facing dog. Oh, sweet down dog. I never thought I would say that when I first took yoga. Okay, from down dog, we're going to come into pigeon. So you can take your right leg back enough and give it a little shake and bring the right leg through. So the right heel is going to line up with the left hip bone. And we're actually going to stay upright today in this version. So we're going to stay upright, being conscious of your low back here, keeping the tail tucked under. And what we're going to do is tuck the left toes under at the back and extend through that knee again. So we're really focusing on opening up the fronts of the hips right now. Great. And then we can step back. And we'll switch sides, so we'll take the left leg up and give it a shake and a wiggle and bring it through. Okay, so hips are square, and we'll curl that back toe under and lengthen through that back knee so the knee comes off the ground. Okay, and then we'll step back to down dog. And then walk your feet into your hands, and we're going to roll up to standing. Okay. So from here, we'll just do some shoulder rolls, rolling the shoulders back and down. And then if we can actually stand towards the back of the mat, it doesn't have to be actually very far back, because we're going to do a short stance, warrior one. And we'll just start by taking a step forward with the left foot, a normal step forward, and check and look at the back right foot so the toes are pointing straight ahead. So both toes are pointing straight ahead like the feet are in railroad tracks. And then you're going to sink through that front left sit bone. And I want you to think about lengthening the back right leg out long so that, again, we're focusing on opening up the front of the hip. You might want to do a little pelvic tilt there too to increase that opening. And then we'll take the hands behind the back, rolling the shoulders back and down, broad and wide, and then lift the chest. And then slowly release, and you can step in, and we'll do that on the other side. Thinking with all the lighting in here, you can actually see a lot more of the cobwebs on the ceiling that I've never noticed before. Okay, so we're going to do the other side. So take a step forward with the right foot in. Back left leg is long, lengthen long through the back of the left leg. Sink down through the front right sit bone. Pelvic tilt. Yeah, we are gonna do the same arms. So roll the shoulders broad and wide. Interlace the fingers behind the chest and open the chest. Yes. Great. And then rest that down. Step the back foot in and maybe just give it a little shake out. Okay. I think I do this pose every time you come on the show. Nadaranjasana.
No, not every time.
Almost every time. Okay, we're gonna do Nadaranjasana now. So we can start with, if you've got something to hold on to, you can hold on to the wall or something, because I want to do this as a focus for it being a back bend and opening out the front of the hip. Okay, so let's bring the left leg up. And I want you to first focus on lining up the fronts of the two legs here and tucking the tail under. And once you've got that sorted, then I really like the mudra that you use on the inside of the foot. Yeah. So you slip the hand around to the inside of the foot. And the right arm can come up, or if you're hanging on to something, and you're going to just start to pull the heel away from the buttocks until the chest opens. Now, one thing you want to watch in this pose, I see a lot of is knees drifting way out to the side. So you want to keep your knee in. Okay, and then slowly release that. Oh, that feels good today. Okay, so we'll do that on the other side as well. So you can bend the other leg in. And I like to hold on the outside just while I get the front two legs lining up. And then once I've got that sorted, I slide the hand around to the inside of the foot. Pelvic tilt so the low back's long. Start to guide that heel away from the buttocks. That pulls the arm back and creates a back bend in the upper back. And then slowly release. Nice. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, you waking up more? Okay, now we're going to practice the pose that is kind of what I've been planning for all class, which is camel. And this pose I've chosen because I don't know about you, but what I find in this pose is that more than any other pose, this is a kind of grasping towards the shape, I think because of how the hands have to come back to the feet. And so there's sort of like never Neverland or I gotta make it, you know? And then there tends to be, because it's, you know, it's a big back bend. It tends to be, you know, this is a pose where I would maybe go further than I would in any other pose, right? And I think it can be a pose where we have to be really careful of treating our bodies kindly and not inflicting violence on them. So let's come up onto our knees, and you might want to double up your mat under your knees. Okay, and first things, we're going to try a few different ways in. First thing you're going to do is, especially if you have a pelvis like mine that just likes to be really tilted, which you don't as much as me, you're going to tuck it under so that you've got opening at the front of the hips and space in the low back. And we're going to start with the version just with the hands on the hips, shoulders rolling back and down, elbows back, and then just lifting the chest up and over. That's our version right now. Okay, good. And then we'll come forward into a child's pose before we do try a couple of different other ones. So as you're resting in child's pose, remember your intention around Ahimsa. So if it was to be kind to the body, checking in on how that's going in the class, and if it was to be kind with your thoughts, then just noticing what kind of thoughts are coming up as we go to a big pose like camel. Okay, so we'll come back up, and you've got a block. I'll take the other block. So on this one, let's take a block if you've got one and place it by your left foot. If you don't have a block, then you can curl your toes under. That'll give you almost as much height as a block. Or you can use a chair or, you know, stack some books or something. So put the block by your left foot. You're going to, again, open up that space at the front of the hips. We'll inhale, take the left arm up and over, looking over at that left foot. You can rest your hand on the block and arc the right arm up. So it's like a half version. And then we'll come up slowly and come forward and into child's pose again. And then slowly up again. And this time, let's just move that block over to the right foot. Okay, so pelvic tilting, opening up the front of the hips, low back is long. You're going to inhale that right arm up and over, looking over at that right foot or block. Oh, mine's so far from my foot. And then arcing the left arm up. So here's where I notice huge differences between my two sides, and I'm just going to try and be with that in a way that isn't judgmental or critical. You okay? What? That was your back? Oh, your shoulder. Yeah, that's a good idea to use your own hands for your head. Fonda Schiavelli taught all the back bends with the chin tucked. That just takes that whole neck thing out of the equation. Okay, so coming up and come forward, child's pose, or I'm going to do that squat again. And Ninka's gonna do yoga mudra. Yeah. Spontaneous counter poses are good too. You know a camel assist? Head? Yeah.
That would be so nice.
It's a great assist. Have you received that before? Oh, okay. Well, here's the deal. Do you feel up to do camel today? Okay. I don't think I can today either. So we're having a discussion about whether our bodies are up for full camel today. And I can tell you right now, mine is not. And Ninka wants to do a modified one too. So see, look what good teachers we are practicing. Showing you how it's okay to not do the full pose because we're going to honor our own bodies today and where we're at today and not force our bodies into something. Let me just talk you through doing it if you feel up to it today at home. And then I'll do assist on a modified one for you. There's sort of two ways you can do it. One thing you can do is to tuck the toes under, and that lifts the heels. That does make it a lot easier. You're going to pelvic tilt, and then you can inhale the left arm up and over until it reaches the left heel, and then exhale the right arm over until it reaches the right. That's one way. The other way is to come in, and it's sort of, I think this is a little bit more experienced way because you kind of have to have a sense of where your feet are in space. But you can roll the shoulders back and down, open up the space, and then just reach back for the heels. So that's an option too. And then, or the blocks on both sides. And then, okay, so this is great. So tuck your chin. Okay, now we'll lengthen.
Oh, I can just rest into you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
it feels really
but tuck
good.
your chin a little more, then it's more length. Yeah, so if you have a friend, it's great for the pose. I know, probably at home nobody has people helping, but this is a great assist. This pose always makes me think of this class I went to one time where the teacher stood behind me and yelled at me to drop my head, but she never offered to take it for me. It was like the worst ever.
You're going to have to help me out.
Okay. Whoa. Okay, child's pose. I'll give you an assist here too. Okay, great. So you guys can think of me because right now for the training that I'm doing, I have to practice camel every day for the next 8 weeks. Actually 7, I've done it for a week now. Let me tell you, that pose is not too fun at 6 in the morning. Okay. Let's come up to seated and we'll do a little twist and then I'm going to get you to rest back so we can create an intention for our week. So legs are long and we'll slide the left leg in. Sit up nice and tall. And I like that. You can use your leg to lift your spine up. Wrap your right arm around your left leg and turn toward it. And then come back center. And we will lengthen that leg out and draw the right leg in. Yeah, lift up nice and tall. Wrap the left arm around the right leg. Okay, and then come back center. And you can release that and you can go ahead and rest back. Ninka. Okay. So resting back for Savasana, letting your body settle in, giving it a chance to integrate your practice. I want you to reflect back on your practice today and your experience of working with Ahimsa. And notice what stands out for you most about that experience, what kind of awareness it has brought to nonviolence in terms of the way you treat your physical body, the actions you take, the way your words, your communication is nonviolent, and your thoughts being nonviolent. And I just thought of a couple of things that I wanted to mention too. When I'm suggesting an ahimsa, I am in no way condoning the suppression of anger, because there are appropriate outlets to express that very real human emotion. The suppression of anger is just simply going to create violence in your own body. So we need to make sure we have safe places to release anger. So sometimes I think we can it's almost like Band-Aids. So we can cover up our anger by suppressing it. We can cover up sort of negative thoughts by pasting affirmations over them. So just be aware of that, sort of the shadow side of cultivating ahimsa perhaps. So once you sort of looked at these three ways you could cultivate ahimsa, start to see how that shows up in the broader picture of your life. And begin to create some intention around how you can cultivate ahimsa over the next week. What is one small way that you could cultivate nonviolence in your actions, in your words and communication, and in your thoughts, in your mind over the next week? Choose one small thing and create a small baby step towards that you could do in the next day. And then when that feels complete, you can start to wiggle and stretch a little bit. And bend your knees and roll to your side. See, we've let this fly live the whole episode. That's ahimsa. Okay, make your way up to seated. We have to find a window to usher him out. Do you find that? Do you do that at home? I'll open a door and I'll talk a bug out. They actually usually go, too. Okay, so let's bring our hands together at prayer position for Namaste. So allow your palms to open slightly, dropping your head to your heart, bowing to your heart center, allowing that intention to drop from your head and into your heart. Thank you for joining us for episode 33 of Namaste Yoga. Looking forward to doing 9 more classes on the Yamas and the Niyamas with you. I hope you have a great week. Namaste. Oh, and a special there's 2 now. A special thank you to our sponsors, Prima Clothing, who give us these fantastic t-shirts for our show. Have a great week. I'll see you next week.